How's it going, Jets fans? My name is Alex, and my co-host here, Ryan Moran. And I kind of get the sense that there are a couple guys on this Jets team that are unsung heroes, some could say. And they've made impacts and contributions that aren't getting the necessary attention from the media, the analysts, maybe even some of the fans. And we want to give those guys some respect today. Some guys that, aren't Quinnen Williams, aren't, Garrett Wilson, aren't Breece Hall, aren't AVT, like some guys that really have just put their foot in the ground and put their head down and really just, kind of grinded things out. And maybe they were not expected to have such big roles or just not the biggest known players. But I think there are some people on this team that are really deserving of more attention. And, Ryan also believes this as well. And it's worthwhile discussing them because they've really helped this squad the last couple of weeks, win some football games. So Ryan, before we dive into four guys we believe are having big impacts and will continue to do so during the rest of the 2022 regular season, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Alex. I think you really said it best there. To this point, the Jets are 4-2 and it feels great and things are going well. And I think to this point, we've really seen a lot of the first and second round picks from the last few drafts, which are obviously filled with headliners. I mean, the Jets have had as much premium draft capital as anybody. And the good thing is they've put that to good use. Now, I think at the same time, there are some unsung heroes on this roster who have pretty naturally just kind of flown under the radar because the Jets have seen such an increase in talent across their team, over the last two off seasons. And I think, a couple of these players are very much deserving of some more attention than they've been getting to this point, and excited to really highlight some points with all of these guys here today.
Absolutely. So let's dive into the first one. And this guy is, one of Zach Wilson's favorite targets. He's a good possession receiver, has made a quiet impact. He goes, balls to the wall on those contested catches across the middle. He'll take those hard hits for you. He'll make those diving catches. He'll do the dirty work that you don't see on the film and don't see on the stat sheet. Rather, you see on the film and don't see on the stat sheet. And that guy is Corey Davis, right? Corey Davis has elevated his game this year. He's become a consistent threat in kind of all parts of the field and every portion of the game. Really solid run blocker. The Jets have asked him to do a lot in that regard. He's a very physical receiver. He's thinned out a little bit. He's a little bit faster. He has 19 catches on 33 targets for 351 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has 2 catches over 40 yards and at least 52 yards in 4 games, on pace for 53 catches, 994 yards and 5 touchdowns. Thank you, Ryan, for putting those numbers together for us. And at the end of the day, this is a guy who Zach Wilson really believes in. This is a guy that Zach Wilson really likes to target. He's a security blanket for him. He believes that he will make the catch if he gives him an opportunity. We've seen him directing Corey Davis downfield in the past, and he does the dirty work in the run game as well. This is a guy who doesn't get all the credit in the world, doesn't get all the attention in the world, but seemingly he's been making a significant impact for this Jets team, and I think that he's deserving of our attention right now. What are your thoughts on Corey Davis and what he's done so far?
And this will be the theme as we go through with these guys. Like, he's just kind of overshadowed by the headliners, the bigger names, but CD in his own right, you said it, from really the start of 2021 when him and Zach Wilson both joined the Jets, they had a very natural connection. And I think to this point, since Zach has returned the last 3 weeks, I think we've seen him and his trust in Corey just continue to grow. It's been on display every week. I think you can make a valid argument. He's the number 1 wide receiver for this group right now. And the guy that Zach is, really looking for more times than not. I think you said the size, the physicality. He offers more of a veteran presence and experience, which with this young group, with Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, his first and second year players, I think is very valuable and kind of goes unnoticed a little bit as a valuable, asset that he provides to the group. Over the middle, just the size, the, crossing routes, the in-breaking routes, the out-breaking routes. I mean, that's really where Corey butters his bread at the end of the day, where he's at his best and he's established in the league. He's a proven route runner, who's got, sure hands over the middle, can go up and make the tough grabs. And we've even seen down the field vertically, at times what this guy can do. He's got some speed as well, maybe not as fast as Elijah, Garrett, Braxton, but I think in his own right, he can win down the field. And while he's maybe not as fast, that size really comes into, play for him. And he's punched the ball in the end zone a couple of times for the Jets on 3rd downs and 4th downs, even in the Steeler game. He's made some big plays. And, he's well on pace once again to go over 900 yards. And, if he continues at this pace, I mean, there's going to be a chance in his second year with the Jets here we see him go for 1,000 yards. And I think, last year, his first year, obviously he signs a big contract. And I think it's frustrating because there were some drops. He missed about half the season with a couple of injuries. And, I think that kind of just, really impacted the way that people looked at him, and a little bit too drastically, I would say, to really make things unfair to him. And I think he's done a really good job this year of reproving himself as just a clear-cut asset to this offense and a guy who, right now is just a clear focal point in this passing game.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And, that big possession body that he has, and he has a little bit of added speed after the weight loss and the muscle gain is definitely showing out as well. But the second guy we have on our mind is not someone we actually expected to have such a good start to the season. The Jets kind of had a spotty run defense last year. This is a veteran guy, and Sheldon Rankins. He's third on the defense in sacks with 2, 3 tackles for a loss, 3 quarterback hits, 19 total tackles. He showed up big in some of these instances, and especially stopping the run. He's actually generated some decent pass rush as well from a big guy in the interior. The Jets have gotten an exponential value out of him, and why is that? He's not getting double teamed, and I don't think that Quinnen Williams is allowing him to get double teamed because he's taken up 3 guys, right? Quinnen Williams is you need 2, 3 defenders, or rather offensive linemen to stop Quinnen Williams, and Sheldon Rankins is the one benefiting from that directly. That lack of attention toward him, they're asking that right guard or left guard to stand up and be the guy to hold down Rankins. He's a big, fast, powerful guy. And ultimately, I think he's benefiting tremendously from Quinnen having an all-pro level season, and that will continue to happen because of the attention he's getting. So, what are your thoughts on Rankins, the impact he's made in both the run and the pass rush game? He's been an asset in the interior of this defense so far.
Really, him and the next guy we're going to highlight here are 2 guys personally I really got to give it up to. I did not see Sheldon Rankins having this type of season for the Jets to this point. Surprisingly, his run defense has been really good. Like you said, I mean, it showed up in the Dolphin. It showed up like on tape at least once a week since I would say week 2. But really in that Dolphins game, he was one of the, lone players in the front 7 that did some good things against the run when the Jets had some struggles in that game against the Dolphins. And it obviously kept things pretty tight into the fourth quarter. But Rank's run defense on the interior has been really good, and that was a concern this offseason. I think for me, it was the biggest concern going into the year was just how was this interior group of the defensive line going to slow down the run. And I got to give it up to Rank. I mean, he's been, a force. He's propelled this group. His ability to, apply pressure as well. Like you said, I think him and Q right now are one of the top tandems at the defensive tackle position in the NFL. And he's obviously got 2 sacks to this point. He's on pace for about 5 or 6 and has consistently generated some pressure from the interior. We know he's a bit of a smaller guy with, some speed, some quickness. He really fits the, attacking one-gapping scheme that Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich deploy. So it's been good to see Rank, and Corey. I mean, 2 guys who the Jets signed the multi-year deals in that 2021 free agency period. Maybe not the most ideal starts, but have really, proved themselves very well, in year 2 this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And the third guy we want to discuss is Quinnen Williams' brother, Quincy Williams, a guy that's kind of coming off an ankle injury he sustained a couple weeks ago and immediately made a huge impact on the run game, completely limited at A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones, or at least helped in some way. He had 14 total tackles. He's third on the Jets defense in total tackles with 32, which is absolutely insane considering he missed time already this season. And he's second in solo tackles with 24. This is just a player who has speed, physicality. He doesn't really showcase the mistakes he once made as a younger player, maybe more inexperienced with worse coaches. He's needed time. Honestly, I think having Quinnen on the team has made him a lot more confident. I think having his brother there, wanting to play well alongside him, has elevated his level of confidence to a degree that we have not seen from Quincy Williams. And he is a very, very athletic guy, and he's powerful, and he's strong, and he's fast and quick. And he had all the tangible traits. It was more about putting the intangibles, the mental components, the football IQ onto the field and on paper and on the film and comparing, pairing that with all of his tangible capabilities. You're seeing a pretty well-rounded player emerge. He's not the best guy in coverage, but that's not what they're asking him to do. They're asking him to really help stop that run and be that physical presence inside along CJ Mosley. And he's done a tremendous job doing that. And I think up to this point, he's been one of the more underrated players on this defense. The big guys like Mosley, like Quinnen, like DJ, like Sauce, they get the headlines, but Quincy Williams is doing a lot of the dirty work. And so is Sheldon Rankins for that matter. So I think, Ryan, you picked some good guys to be those unsung heroes. What are your thoughts on Quincy up to this point?
Like I said, Quincy and Rank are 2 guys personally I did not really see this type of production coming from. And we saw the flashes in 2021, despite the fact that he was signed, right before the start of the season in late August. He comes in right away and he shows, like you said, the athleticism. I mean, this is a guy with a ton of speed. He can cover ground from sideline to sideline, north, south, east, west. He's a very natural mover, and the physicality to his game has always been there as well. Last year, I mean, you see some of the big hits and just how punishing he can be at the point of attack. But at the same time, last year, just the mental errors in terms of pursuit angles being, way too overly aggressive, missing tackles, was a big issue for him, especially on some third downs that I can recall. And, you're not so sure. I mean, this is a guy going into his fourth year this year. Is he, what he is at this point? But you got to give it up to him. I mean, with more experience, you're seeing this guy really cut out the mental mistakes. His tackling has been pretty sound to this point. You're not really seeing him, get gashed, make mistakes. And that's a big thing, I think, in pursuit, as long as this guy can play with control. And obviously that is a thing in this scheme because the Jets play, so aggressive. Like I said, that one gapping style up front, at times can kind of make things tough in pursuit. And you can be a little over aggressive in your pursuit, but he's been better with that. The run defense. I mean, you saw the one big hit he had the other day, him and Quentin. I want to say it was on Aaron Jones. I mean, he's been such a different player this year. It's been awesome to see. And, just really excited about, Quincy. I mean, you got to give it up to this guy because it looked like he was going to miss a lot of time after getting hurt in that Bengals game, being casted off. And for him to only miss 2 games and to already, return and make as much of an impact as he did in this week 6 win, I think Quincy deserves a ton of credit. And he's definitely one of the more unsung, heroes on this team that's hopefully just coming into his own and continues to progress here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last guy we want to talk about, another defensive player, is Michael Carter II. A guy who we were pretty high on going in as a nickel cornerback, starter, rookie last year, had a couple up and down moments, but otherwise was pretty solid for a late round pick. And he's mounted that and compounded on that success that he had early on in his rookie season. He has an interception, 3 passes defended, 1 tackle for a loss, 21 total tackles. Ryan, you wrote down he has incredible speed, coverage ability, run stopping, pass rushing, and he's showing progress when it comes to playing the ball and just, getting his head up, turned around and making those plays and reading the quarterback's eyes. The Jets play that kind of zone coverage. They can play man coverage on that boundary. And I think, MC2 is capable of that as well. But I'm pretty optimistic about his growth and his role kind of continuing to develop here. The Jets don't necessarily have another, secondary nickel corner, like a guy that would maybe slot in there. He is the guy. Like Brandon Eccles is more of a boundary guy. I kind of get the sense that they're locked into MC2 as a long-term solution there. And I think that's a good idea. He definitely seems like the part. He has the capabilities. He's got the physical nature. Nickel corner is not easy in the NFL, mainly because you have to play and stop the run as well. You're not just asked to, play coverage and play zone or man, whatever it might be. But MC2, like I said before, 21 total tackles. He's been very good in run support as well, helping on that, setting the edge and whatnot. Helping, keeping guys like Aaron Jones from, beating them on the outside, on those outside zone runs the Packers love to run. So he's been tremendous up to this point. What are your thoughts on MC2 and the future with him as the nickel corner?
I think it's similar to what I said even with Corey Davis before. Like when you go out and get Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, MC2 is just going to fly under the radar naturally. And as a 5th round pick in 2021, had a good rookie year, started from the jump. And the slot position is hard there is to play, in football. And I think the multiplicity, the versatility that this guy offers, with that speed, what he can do in coverage, playing the run, applying pressure as a blitzer, there is so much he can do. And the main area for him to grow in his second year was, with his ball skills and making plays on the ball, when in coverage. And he had 5 pass breakups last year, and he's, well on pace to shattering that this year. I mean, he's already at 3. So he, as long as he stays healthy, he'll get past that. And I think, the trio right now of him, Sauce, and DJ is as good as any in football. And MC2 has a lot to do with that. He's flown under the radar, made that big play on 4th down the other day on the, slot fade, go route there to Romeo Doubs. I mean, that was a really good play where he stayed in base, showed you some of his speed and what he's really doing, making plays on the ball. Obviously got his first interception a couple of weeks ago, which was a big step in the 3 pass breakups. So MC2 to me is a guy who the Jets do like a lot. And, definitely deserves some more attention, with the play that he's given this Jets defense that's had a ton of success early on here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's probably one other guy I'd throw in there as an honorable mention, Braxton Berrios, another one that could just get the maximum attention, obviously kick return specialist. And, he definitely offers a lot as a receiver as well. But, I'd love to hear your thoughts and perspectives below in the YouTube comments, some additional guys that you'd like if you think these are pretty good options that we've selected here. And, the Jets obviously have a lot of talent, so it's hard to pick. But, these guys definitely deserve a little bit more attention from the fan base. So I'm happy that we can discuss them today. But as always, my friends, make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. More content every single day, or for the most part, every other day. And obviously, it's very fun when the Jets are winning. So makes things a little bit more exciting for all of us. Appreciate the love as always. Make sure to like, subscribe, as I said before. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Jets episode.